Sabo is going to be one of the new leaders in OP05, having a color of red and black. Now, this isn't anything new because we've seen this color combination before with red and black Garp earlier on in set 2. Now, red and black Garp wasn't able to do anything because the card's mechanics just didn't flow well together. If you think about it, red wants to focus on lowering or increasing power, and black wants to focus on killing cards on the field while lowering cost. One is lowering power, one is lowering cost, so it seems like they're trying to do two different things. Because of that, I've been seeing a ton of people saying that Sabo is going to be a leader that kind of falls in the same category of Garp because his colors simply don't mesh. For me, what I want to bring to more people's attention, and of course what I'm saying is nothing groundbreaking, of course I think a ton of people already realized it, but for those of you that haven't, I think that Sabo is going to be an absolute beast because his ability doesn't matter if you're running even a full black deck. What matters is the ability for your characters to stick on the board. Sabo reads as the following. With 1 Dawn attached on your opponent's turn, once per turn, if one of your characters with 5,000 power or more were to be KO'd, you may instead give that character 1,000 power for the turn. So that means, say if you have your 4-cost Kuzan on board, and your opponent decides to go ahead and use a Fire Fist or maybe a Jet Pistol, something to get it off the board that a lot of people like to do because Kuzan is a really good card. Instead, you can go ahead and make Kuzan from 5,000 to 4,000 to keep him alive. Because of this, I know that, again, looking at red and black, the synergies aren't quite there, but the way I look at it is red has some really good staple cards in Otama that you could definitely find use in Sabo, but most importantly Radical Beam. Especially if we're taking a look at the Japanese format, they still have 4 Radical Beams, so on release they will be able to play 4 Radical Beam in Sabo. We all know how broken that card is, and of course over here we have it at 1 over in the English version. Who knows if that ends up changing by the time we get OP05, but what I do know right now is Sabo already having immaculate defense. You combo that with cards like Radical Beam and not to mention Guard Point as well, his defense is going to be insane on top of the ability to keep your characters alive 1 extra time. So for me, the reason why I had Sabo high on my tier list and why I think that he's going to be good is because you have to think of red from the defensive aspect. I know, obviously we know red to be the super aggressive archetype, but even though Sabo has red in him, take a look at the OP defense that Zoro can sometimes have. Heck, take a look at the OP defense that Whitebeard can always have, right? You take a look at the guard points, you take a look at the Radical Beams, and even potentially the Red Hawks, right? These are cards that Sabo's going to have access to, and that's going to allow his innate defense to get even stronger. And by the way, Black has some of the best defense in the game when it comes to their blockers. Let's go ahead and break them down. We have Borsalino from OP02, Hina from OP02, as well as Sabo from OP04. Let's go ahead and break them all down. In terms of Borsalino, 4 costs 5,000 power, but on your opponent's turn, he actually has 6,000 power, so he's a great staple blocker in black since he has been released. You're going to play 4 copies of this card. It's great because with Sabo's ability, he just goes down to his regular power level of 5k due to the ability of him being at 6k on your opponent's turn. And so this card alone is already going to be extremely great in that early / mid game, because by the time you play it when you have 5 Dawn along with your Sabo on board with 1 Dawn attached and you play your Borsalino, this card is going to get immense value. So Borsalino is going to be a card that you could also swing with as well. You don't have to be scared. You can swing with him because even if your opponent attacks into him, you can keep him alive, which is something that's really great about all these blockers. But he's going to be a card that you can easily just drop down and always have a ton of value with. The next card I want to talk about is Hina, and a lot of you probably don't even know what this does, so let me go ahead and read the ability. Hina's a blocker, 5 cost 6,000 power, but on block you could choose one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less. That chosen character cannot attack during this turn. What does that mean? Hina effectively becomes a double blocker. Now, when you take a look at Hina and compare her to Borsalino, Borsalino can't be KO'd by card effects. What does that mean? So, of course, cards like Fire Fist, cards like Jet Pistol, things like that can't hit Borsalino on your opponent's turn, of course. Things that are trigger on your turn can obviously hit it. However, obviously, if you go up against blue spinning stuff to the bottom of the deck, and I guess that's a weakness of Sabo, but we're not talking about that. The difference is Hina doesn't have that, right? Hina could easily be popped by a Jet Pistol or things of that nature because she's not immune to anything. However, in the event that you have Sabo with 1 Dawn attached, all of a sudden, Hina kind of becomes like Borsalino for that 1 turn, right? For that 1 instance. And if your opponent is going to attack and you use Hina to block, of course you can keep her alive if it's going to be a big attack, and then you could stop one of your opponent's characters from attacking as well, making her a double blocker that is probably going to stick on the board, and it's probably going to make them want to attack the Hina again. So it's probably going to take 3 hits, right? 3 potential hits. Actually, if you break it down, it's probably going to be 2 hits, really, but if you use it in terms of its efficiency, it's going to be 3 hits, right? Because say if your opponent has 2 characters on board along with their leader, they swing with 1 character, you block with Hina, Hina stays alive because of Sabo's ability, and Hina stops the other character from attacking, so that effectively stops 2 attacks. And then now the leader also has to attack Hina, so 2 characters plus a leader, so 3 attacks can all be stopped with just 1 Hina. This is absolutely crazy. So this card, in my opinion, is going to be a 4F in Sabo as well. Now, we have to talk about Sabo. So Sabo is also a blocker, but he's interesting because all of your characters cannot be KO'd by card effects. So it gives all of your characters the effect that Borsalino has, right? So you have that, and then you have Sabo's ability, again, to keep it alive for 1 extra turn, and Sabo's just always great because, again, you can use him as an attacker. 5 cost 6,000 power with counter, I might add, so that is really good. And on play, you can go ahead and draw 2 cards, trash 2 cards, so go ahead and refresh your hand. Again, for all the reasons that I mentioned before, it's great because it gives all of your characters what Borsalino has currently on the board, so that's fantastic. And again, if your opponent swings into it, then you can go ahead and keep it 1 more time, or again, even if they try to destroy it with any cards that destroy cards with their card effects. These cards are going to stick on the board. You couple that again with what I talked about earlier on in the video. The guard points, the radical beams, or the red hawks, or anything that you want to play. Those powerful red defensive cards you have access to. Of course, there's defensive cards in black as well, but again, my focus when I look at the red in Sabo is the defensive cards, the broken cards such as guard point and radical beam. And again, Japan can run 4 copies of radical beam. It's going to be absolutely insane. So I think that's the core of where you want to start fleshing out your Sabo build, and then from there you can go ahead and continue to expand, right? Kuzan's going to be a card that I talked about earlier that's always a target. This is going to be a character that's going to be able to stick on the board a little bit more and try to give you value with that -4, which opens up things like playing Garp, who again also has more than 5,000 power. When you use Garp's ability, you have to rest him, and so more often than not, he tends to be a target that your opponent wants to get off the board, or else you're constantly just getting advantage popping things that cost 4 or less, and with the Kuzan in conjunction to that, you're able to just start popping 8 costs, right? So Garp with combination of Kuzan is going to be a problem. One of them is going to have to get removed off the board, but you'll be able to save one of them once per turn with your Sabo ability, so you have a lot of potential board control with just those 2 cards. Again, this is just a foundation of what I think red-black Sabo will look like. Of course, you could play a little bit more to the late game because you're going to have so much defense and blockers, so there'll be more opportunities for you to drop 10 drop Kuzan, a card that a lot of people aren't really playing because when you really think about it, you have to use it 10 Dawn in order to play it. It effectively makes it so you're completely defenseless on your next turn, but if you optimize how you play, you build your deck specifically for defenses, you're probably going to be in a very nice situation in terms of life by the time you play this Kuzan, again, because of the defensive red events and because of the very powerful defenses built into Sabo's ability and the very potent blockers that black has. Again, this is not a full deck list. This is just a video to tell you guys my thoughts and my opinions on how Sabo should be built. I'm super interested to see what people end up cooking up overall and what type of tech that they build, because I think that, again, when it comes to dual color leaders, that's where the excitement of this card game truly comes, because the diversity of the decks can be absolutely insane. I'm super excited to see what other tech people try to splash in as well. Are people going to try to make more of a board control focused build using Garp, because Garp can be more sticky on the board with Kuzan, teching things like Ice Age, use Kobe's and things of that nature? Who knows? Will people decide to maybe do a more aggressive build, right? Again, use some of those rush cards in red and try to keep them alive and continue to try to rush your opponent down. It's going to be super interesting, but regardless, I truly believe that Sabo has way more potential than Garp, and I truly believe that Sabo might surprise some people. Actually, I think all of the OPO5 leaders will surprise people. With that being said, I want to know your guys' honest opinions. What do you guys think about my thoughts on Sabo? Do you guys agree? Do you guys disagree? And I guess what I want you guys to also answer in the comments below is, with Sabo, do you think that his ideal playing style is going to be a lot more focused on defense, Or do you think that you guys might use him on the offensive end and use a lot more rush cards because your opponent's basically going to have to attack twice potentially, or remove them twice for those rush cards, so you're going to get a ton of value out of them? Again, I'm super curious to hear what you guys think. And also, if you made it this far in this video and you're not subscribed, what are you guys doing, man? Come on, what are you guys doing? Over 60% of you guys aren't subscribed already. So go ahead, just hit that subscribe button. I'm giving you guys daily uploads and all this amazing content for free. Hit that like button while you're there too. I will catch you guys later. Peace.